today. We'd first and foremost like to welcome everyone to this panel discussion focused on student resources in international psychology, which is hosted collaboratively by the student and webinar committees of the APA's Division 52 for International Psychology and the Psychology Coalition at the United Nations, or PCUN. We appreciate you being here with us for this important conversation. My name is Daniel Balva, and I'll be serving as the chair of this webinar in collaboration with the Division 52 lovely webinar committee chairs, Dr. Pina Marsico and Dr. Luca Tateo, and fellow webinar committee members, Dr. Falu Rami, Dr. Karen Brown, and Dr. Mary Bullock. Currently, there's a lot of conflict, trauma, and hardship taking place across the globe, and we want to recognize such difficulties taking place. And with that, we recognize that on September 11th, coming up shortly, marks the 20th anniversary of the devastating tragedies that took place in the United States on Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. That Tuesday, we lost 2,977 souls, including that of heroic firefighters, police officers, fellow first responders, flight personnel, and valiant individuals who risked their lives to help others. In honor and memory of those who were taken from us, we kindly ask for everyone to engage in a moment of silence. We thank you and we honor the lives of those who were taken from us. Given that this webinar is a collaborative effort, we would first like to introduce Dean Elaine Congress, who would like to offer a warm welcome to our attendees on behalf of the Psychology Coalition at the United Nations.
Okay, yes, thank you very much, Daniel. I want to really thank Division 52 for their sponsorship of this really important event, and also Dr. Takushian, who's really helped to put together this webinar, and also PCUN, in which I'm very involved, as is Dr. Takushian and Dr. Marcotte, our president, who have been able to be with us today. I want to just tell you a little bit about PCUN, the Psychology Coalition at the United Nations. We are 9 psychology NGOs that meet regularly, and we're really very concerned about psychology and behavioral science, about kind of spreading it throughout the UN and beyond, because we really believe that behavioral science is a way to really help resolve some of the terrible problems facing our world. I mean, you may know about Psychology Day at the UN, which usually attracts probably over 1,000 psychologists, which we have in the spring. But we're also particularly excited because PCUN adopted our book series about the UN last year, and we were able to publish the first book in our series. And let me see if I can just show it to you now. So, you can see this. And our title is Behavioral Science in the Global Arena, Addressing Timely Issues at the United Nations and beyond. We've really moved ahead, though, and now we're about ready to send volumes 2 and 3 to the publisher. So we're very excited that PCUN has adopted this book series. And what's particularly important is students. It's so fitting that this first webinar is focused on students because they're so important to us. In our book series, we have students who serve as editors. We have students who serve co-authoring chapters. And in fact, today, we're going to have one of the students, former students who was involved with this, who was one of my students at the UN last year, Sinead Osborne, who was kind of really taken and become very involved in international programs. So she'll tell you more today about some of the international work she's done, and we can see all kinds of possibilities for students in the future. So with that, I'm enough of a welcome. If you want to contact me, I'm congress@fordham.edu, which is easy to email and remember. And so I'm really looking forward to this webinar, which I'm sure will be very interesting. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dean Congress, and to PCUN, and a special thank you to Dr. Tapushian, who is really essential in creating this collaboration and putting this important program together as well. And similarly, we would also like to introduce APA's Division 52 for International Psychology President, Dr. Larry Gerstein, who would also like to offer a warm welcome to our attendees as well.
Thanks, Daniel, and special thanks to you for acknowledging 9/11 and giving us the opportunity to focus our thoughts and prayers on people that were lost and the effects that it's had on everyone, not only here in the United States, but around the globe. Also, thanks, Daniel, for sharing this. I know that there are other students that helped you with putting this together, so I appreciate their contributions. Special thanks to Dr. Congress and the Psychology Coalition at the United Nations for partnering on this important event and highlighting the role of students in the work that psychologists are doing at the UN. So I'm excited to be here too, and to learn from everyone. And hopefully we'll continue this kind of a dialogue as time goes on. So yeah, I turn it back to you, Daniel.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gerstein, and to APA's Division 52 as well. And before we begin, we would like to go over some of the logistics and on how to use the question and answer feature that, that everyone will notice here on Zoom today. Webinar attendees have the ability to ask the panelists questions by typing them in the question and answer box located at the bottom of your screen. Please feel free to type your questions during the presentation at any time. And you'll also see an adjacent chat box that can be used to interact during the panel. And we will be sure to get to the question and answer segment towards the latter part of this webinar. And at this time, we're extremely honored to introduce and welcome our wonderful panelists. Firstly, we would like to welcome Dr. Larry Gerstein, who is a Ball State University George and Francis Ball Distinguished Professor of Psychology, Counseling, and Director of the Center for Peace and Conflict Studies, Fellow of the American Psychological Association, Divisions of Counseling Psychology, Peace Psychology, and International Psychology, Fulbright Scholar and Specialist, Advisor to the City University of Hong Kong Department of Social and Behavioral Sciences, trained mediator, and co-editor of the Journal for Social Action in Counseling and Psychology. He earned his PhD in Counseling and Social Psychology from the University of Georgia, and he currently serves as the APA Division 52 International Psychology President. We're honored to have you here with us today, Dr. Gerstein.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Next, we would like to extend a warm welcome to Dr. Ani Kalajian. Since 1985, a licensed multilingual and multicultural clinician, scientist practitioner, professor of psychology at Teachers College, Columbia University, international consultant, fellow of the APA and its international division since 2000, fellow of New York Academy of Medicine, author of 5 major books and over 100 research articles, 38 YouTube films, 30 years of leadership within the United Nations and its NGO community, working closely with others in the USA and 48 countries and 26 states in the USA to expand human rights, peace building, conflict transformation, nurturing emotional intelligence, healing from personal, collective, vicarious, horizontal, and intergenerational trauma, and integrating mind, body, eco-spirit. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Dr. Kalajian.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Next, we would like to extend a warm welcome to Dr. Teresa Ober, who is an assistant research professor at the University of Notre Dame, working in the Learning, Analytics, and Measurement in Behavioral Sciences LAMS lab. Before joining the University of Notre Dame, Dr. Ober received a PhD in educational psychology from the Graduate Center of the City University of New York, SUNY, specializing in learning, development, and instruction, and a certificate in interactive technology and pedagogy. Between August 2015 and July 2018, Dr. Ober was involved with the American Psychological Association, United Nations non-government organization, assisting in the organization of the annual Psychology Day at the UN conference. She's currently serving as a member of the International Relations Committee of the Society for Teaching of Psychology, STP, APA Division 2. We're honored to have you here with us as well, Dr. Ober, so thank you for being here. Next, we would like to extend a warm welcome to Shanae Osborne, who holds a master's in health administration, and she recently graduated with her master's in social work from Fordham University's Graduate School of Social Work. During her studies, Shanae was a United Nations intern where she was nominated and elected to be one of 2 student representatives to the UN for one of the largest social work organizations in the world. In December 2020, the International Council of Psychologists honored Shanae with an international award for her research and presentation on the unseen abuses. She is currently co-editing the 2nd volume of Behavioral Sciences in the Global Arena, a book that offers vast global insight from key subject experts and student collaboration. The global opportunities Shanae has received have offered her greater insight to the needs to advocate for women and children around the world that suffer from various kinds of abuses, especially those unseen but detrimentally traumatic. We're honored to have you as well with us here as well, Shanae.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Next, we would like to extend a warm welcome to Dr. Harold Tikhoushian, who has served on the faculty of Fordham University since 1975, where he is also the director of the Fordham Institute, which consults on research for industry and government. He is past president of the American Psychological Association Division of International Psychology and a psychology representative to the United Nations headquarters in New York City. We're honored to have you here with us as well, Dr. Tikhoushian. Next, we would like to extend a warm welcome to Dr. Gabriel Tuos, who is the Senior International Affairs Officer at the American Psychological Association, where he works to advance psychology globally with a particular focus on human rights and public policy. He staffed APA's Task Force on Human Rights and serves as the association's main representative to the United Nations. He previously worked as a lobbyist for APA and for SPSSI, using psychological science to advocate for civil rights-related issues. Relevant publications include the edited International Handbook of Peace and Reconciliation and a chapter in the recent Cambridge Handbook of Psychology and Human Rights. He received his PhD in social psychology from Clark University, where we're honored to have you here as well with us, Dr. Tuos. And last but certainly not least, we would like to extend a very warm welcome to Dr. Martha Zlakovic, who is a developmental psychologist and the executive director of PsyChi, the International Honor Society in Psychology. Previously, she was a professor at Southeast Missouri State University, teaching developmental psychology courses, and served as the chair of the psychology department and interim chair of the Center for Scholarship in Teaching and Learning. Her research interests are student study habits, study beliefs, and persistence to graduation, as well as adolescent and young adult contraception and sexuality. She speaks German and is working on Spanish, French, and Italian. She is currently past president of the Society for Psychologists and Management and the current Division 52 treasurer. We're honored to have you here with us as well, Dr. Zlakovic. As our attendees could clearly tell, had we read the complete CVs of our panelists, we could do a whole webinar just on that. So we have just a wealth of information and expertise here, and we're really honored to have each of our panelists here with us. Given the unique format of this panel, each panelist will have 7 minutes to speak about their respective topic of discussion before moving on to the next panelist's topic of discussion. For our attendees, again, if you have any questions you would like to address to the panelists, please feel free to do so by means of submitting them in the question and answer box, and we will have time for questions during the latter half of this webinar. And for our panelists, we will try to send a message letting you know when there's 2 minutes remaining for the 7 minutes. But we do just kindly ask everyone to please also keep note of the time as well. And so now, without further ado, we would like to begin this panel with Dr. Larry Gerstein, who will be speaking about benefits and opportunities as it relates to student membership within APA Divisions 52 for International Psychology and Division 48 for Peace Psychology.
Thanks much, Daniel. I'm going to try to share my screen here. Let's see how it works. Give me a second. I assume we'll do okay here. Oops. Are you seeing my first slide?
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you. For those of you who are older, don't you miss the days when you just pulled out a piece of paper from your back pocket to give a lecture? I sure do. So as Daniel mentioned, I am the president of Division 52, International Psychology. And I'm also a member of Division 48, Peace Psychology. Obviously, I'm much more familiar with Division 52 than I am Division 48, but I'm not here to represent Division 48. I have reached out, though, to some folks to get some feedback from them on their views about how students are involved and can be involved in Division 48. This slide introduces the division's mission and how it understands peace. I want to stress that Division 48 has a very broad definition of peace, both the absence of war and the creation of positive social conditions which minimize destructive conflicts and promote human well-being. So it talks about negative peace and positive peace. There are a number of benefits of being part of Division 48 for students, and I'll just highlight some of them. You can become a member of a community of researchers, policymakers, educators, and practitioners who are shaping the peace psych field. You can become familiar with different countries and people where violence and conflict exist, and more importantly, peace-building efforts have been pursued. You can also learn about various strategies to achieve peace and nonviolence and to practice conflict prevention and resolution yourself. You can have the opportunity to network with professionals, including students from around the globe. This is really important because you can expand your own worldviews and also reduce the isolation that you might experience by increasing the diverse stories you're exposed to. You also can acquire knowledge and skills to live and work each day through a lens of peace and harmony. And many people believe that we first must find inner peace before we can bring about peace with in larger groups. You can apply for travel awards to present at the APA convention. You can also apply for funding to support your research related to the mission of the division, and the funding is available every single year. You'll receive the journal and the newsletter of Peace Psych. And students have the ability to participate in the division's working groups. And I've listed some of these on this slide: peace education, justice for animals, spirituality and humanitarian practices, student and early career working, and the immigration group. So I want to stress that you do not need to be a member of APA to join Division 48. Next, let me talk about Division 52. Here's the mission of Division 52 on this slide. Represents psychologists who are interested in promoting greater global awareness throughout the discipline. Like Division 48, you can join Division 52 without being an APA member. And I've listed here some of the things that Division 52 does, and I think these are just overarching activities that the division is involved in. I want to briefly share some benefits of being a student member of Division 52. And like my points that I presented to you about Division 48, I consulted with Division 52 members to get their input on this. And most of what I'll present comes from them. Some points I added. So there's a chance to network with international psychologists worldwide. This really can often feel very overwhelming and produce anxiety. However, students have told me that it does not feel that way in Division 52, as they claim that people are personable, welcoming, and supportive of students. You can access invaluable materials, training, leadership positions, and career mentors. Students have an elected member to the Division 52 board. At this point in time, it's Daniel. So they have a voice in the inner functioning of the division. Funding and scholarship opportunities for international research and leadership are available. There are 3 different awards. There's the Anastasia Graduate Student Research Award, the Jean Lao Chin Award for Outstanding Graduate Student in International Leadership, and a Student International Research Award. You can acquire knowledge and skills in cross-cultural and cross-national work. There's an opportunity to participate in a number of student-led initiatives like research, membership. There's a dine and discuss programming that occurs every month. There are webinars like this one, student monthly spotlights, meaning spotlighting students and what they're doing. And then there's opportunities to collaborate with other organizations and divisions. There's also a chance to join the wider Division 52 committees. And I've listed some of those here on the slide, including the Student Committee, Advocacy Committee, Awards Committee, Convention and Program Committee, Curriculum and Training Committee, Immigration and Refugee, Special Interest Group, International Committee for Women, Trauma and Disaster Special Interest Group, and the Webinar Committee. There are opportunities to attend free cutting-edge webinars like this one. There are a number of webinars offered by Division 52, and in the last year, our webinar chairs have offered these webinars for free. There's a chance to present in our division suite during the APA convention. And this past year, like the previous year, it was virtual and there were lots of students in attendance. It was really very exciting. Opportunities for lifelong personal and professional relationships with like-minded individuals are possible in Division 52. And again, you can, like Division 48, you can subscribe and publish in our division's journal and our newsletter. On this slide, I'm sharing with you the website for Division 52 and 48, and I welcome hearing from you and answering any of your questions. And I know I went through this very quickly. But I think Division 52 and 48 are exciting places for students to hold membership. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gerstein. At this point, we will transition over and hear from Dr. Ani Kalajian, who will be speaking about humanitarian relief opportunities for students as well.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to share my screen, but need to go to my PowerPoint. Wonderful. Thank you so much for all the organizers. I want to present a little bit about Meaningful Worlds, humanitarian relief, disaster outreach, and peace building and keeping initiatives and opportunities for students and graduates We have two mottos that I like to share today. When one helps another, both become stronger. And that's why we choose to go to the communities in distress in 48 countries around the world and 26 states in USA, including the 9/11. And the other motto is shared sorrow is half sorrow, while shared joy is double joy. So we have several internship opportunities, pre-doctoral, postdoctoral fellowship at the United Nations, both for international psychology, diplomacy, and humanitarian affairs and human rights. We have also internships for high school and college students. We have a specific United Nations internships and research, publication, communication, marketing, outreach, and fundraising, different kinds of internships, as well as social media. Here are a few photos to take you across our journey of healing in the past 32 years. We follow the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. They are 17, but we choose few to focus on. Here we have programs every year on genocide prevention. And with that, we also have essay contests for both high school and college students. And the deadline is April 24. And immediately after 9/11, we offered free training programs every weekend at Fordham University with Dr. Takushian on disaster management, because we were all shooken up. I was chairing the United Nations conference of DPI NGO that happens every year. And it was a challenging time for us to evacuate the UN. The UN has gone really a long way. When we started in 1990s, they didn't know the difference between psychology and psychic. So when we made reservations at the delegates dining room, the major D said, "Oh, the psychics are coming. The psychics are coming." I had to correct them that there's a difference between psychology and psychic. So within the UN, we served as vice chair of DPI NGO, treasurer of Human Rights Committee. So you can get involved within the UN system. And through our publications, Mass Trauma, Emotional Healing, Forgiveness, which is a peacekeeping series from the Peace Division, and From War to Peace, working on generational trauma, how to transform the trauma of the pain from the generations and nurture the wisdom. And the Forget Me Not is our 7th step for healing our body, mind, and spirit. So in 1993, we had the very first mental health conference at the UN. Before that, mental health was not mentioned at all. In fact, it was bracketed in every convention and in every document because 200 countries had not approved the word. And that's the situation at the UN. But in 2010, we were able to have Mind, Body, Echo, Spirit Festival. And here is some of the photos from the UN. Our meaningful world ambassadors are those who intern for a year and complete 4 modules in disaster relief, peacekeeping, self-care, and leadership modules. They become meaningful world ambassadors, and they can travel with us to other countries, as I mentioned. So the SDG goal 1 is no poverty. So how do we do that? As psychologists, we created different jobs like the chikunku in Sri Lanka after the tsunami, securing sewing machines for Sri Lanka, for Haiti and Sierra Leone after their disasters, planting trees in Congo, Middle East, and the Caribbean. SDG 3, good health and well-being, we covered this with our 7-step healing model. And we have also emphasis on emotional intelligence, nurturing emotional intelligence, and transforming horizontal violence. Goal 4, SDG Goal 4, is quality education. And we work on both psychoeducation and education as well, including training police, nuns, clergy, Coast Guards, and attorneys and other government officials. Here are a few photos to take you through the years addressing the genocide in Rwanda in '94, in Congo helping the orphans, in Lebanon after the war with Israel in 2007, in Sierra Leone in 2010 after the devastating genocide, right here in Brooklyn and Bronx, New York, working with high schools and junior highs, in Kenya with the Maasai tribe, helping them learn about the dangers of genital mutilation for girls, in Pakistan, focusing SDG number 5, which is on gender equality. And we work through women's equality throughout all of our nations, including Syria in this picture, reducing inequalities, goal number 10, and addressing violations of human rights for women, especially in Pakistan, in Saudi Arabia, as well as in other countries. Goal number 11 is sustainable communities, how to build sustainable communities through peace and forgiveness gardens, planting trees. And we do planting trees in every mission we go. May that be natural disaster or human-made disasters. When we went to Puerto Rico, for example, 3 years ago, as well as 2 years ago, that was top of our agenda. We planted more than dozens of trees. And in Palestine as well, we created peace and forgiveness gardens, basically digging the rocks and creating a garden, a healing garden within the rocks and the challenges. SDG Goal 16, building peace, justice, and strong institutions. We have worked throughout different countries. Here you see our peace work in Palestine, Israel. And before the workshop on the left, you see the two sides were ready to, angry and ready to yell at each other. At the end of the workshop on the right, you will see the 3 people hugging one another. And here we are working after the war in Armenia due to the Azeri oppression, and in Lebanon as well, focusing on children. Here we're working in Romania after the collapse of Soviet Union, helping them through the 75 years of oppression, as well as here in basically at Fordham during my tenure there, we worked on 10 years of dialogue, bringing Turks, Armenians, and Kurds together and bringing those educational programs to the community, working in Sarajevo, again, for peace building, and organizing other conferences, working with children, adolescents, as well as older adults. Goal 17 is partnership, and this, in fact, thank you, Harold, and everyone organizing. This is a true partnership amongst many organizations. And here we have a program at the UN with our own people, Judy and others. So in conclusion, I'd like to bring to your attention that today, September 10 is Suicide Prevention Day, International Day, National Day, and please try to see from your circles who would need support. We have free weekly support groups on Zoom on Thursdays at noon. We'll be happy to give you the link if you email us at info@meaningfulworld.com. Also, next week is World and UN International Day of Peace. which the day is on the 21st of September, which happens to be my birthday too. And we're doing the Walk for Peace on Saturday, September 18, and we're going to walk on Times Square, from Times Square to the UN Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza, and we're going to bring peace and spread information about transforming bullying, suicide prevention, and building peace. So together, we are united, we are resilient, and we create miracles. This is my last slide, and this is a work of one woman, 25 years. Every spring she went to this barren valley. There was nothing in this valley, but every spring she planted seeds of flowers and bulbs and created this tapestry of beauty that every time I look, it just brings me a lot of hope and peace, because all the rainbow colors, chakra energy colors are there, the purple and yellow and green and orange and red, and together they bring us harmony. So my question is, where are your seeds? Where are your bulbs? And how mindful are you in planting and nurturing them? Thank you so much. Namaste. Have a peaceful day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kalajian. We really appreciate it. And at this point, we will transition over and we will now hear from Dr. Teresa Ober, who will be speaking about student involvement opportunities within international psychology organizations.
Thank you, Daniel. Looks like I can't share the screen just yet. Whenever Dr. Kalajian is done sharing her screen, such a pretty view that I almost don't want to.
I exited. I hope it works. Okay.
Thank you so much. So can you all see? Hopefully, yes. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Hi, my name is Teresa Ober, and as Daniel had introduced, I'm an assistant research professor at the University of Notre Dame. And today I'm going to be talking about opportunities for undergraduate and graduate students interested in getting involved in international psychology organizations and initiatives. Before I get into that, I just also want to thank Division 52 and all the committee members who helped put this panel together, including Daniel, who was amazing in terms of communicating with us speakers and was also chairing, as well as the panelists and attendees here today. First of all, you might be wondering, why is it important to get involved in international psychology initiatives? Many of you here are probably interested in pursuing clinical practice in psychology. Others may be pursuing research or teaching-oriented jobs, and still others may be interested in working in a consulting capacity or some combination of all of the above. Regardless, you probably are here today because you're curious about understanding and helping people in a thoughtful and systematic way. And so how does getting involved with international psychology organizations fulfill the same? Well, we know that the field of psychology ultimately involves the scientific study of people. And in scientific disciplines, generalizability or the usefulness and applicability of a theory or results of a study to a broader group of people, contexts, and so forth is a key goal. Cultural differences have historically not been discussed so frequently within the psychology curriculum, and yet there is, I think, now greater recognition that perspectives from particularly American experimental psychology have largely dominated the field. And given that generalizability is a goal of future psychological research and effective clinical practice, then there is an imperative for globalizing the discipline. And doing so requires participation from today's students in psychology who represent the future of the discipline ultimately. And so getting involved, particularly early in your career in international psychology initiatives, is one way of not only improving the rigor, but also improving the pursuit of generalizability. Not only does it sort of increase knowledge within the field, but it also ultimately can have an impact on those for whom your work is generalizing. This naturally begs the question, though, how can one, especially a student who obviously has very limited time on their hands and also resources, meaningfully get involved in international psychology initiatives? And I'm going to go over several very simple steps that I think anyone can take to become more involved in international psychology organizations and initiatives. The first is very simple and should, I think, be quite obvious, and that is just simply getting to know your peers on campus. By some estimates, international students comprise between 5 and 6% of the total US higher education population. And so developing a cross-cultural and international perspective need not require traveling great distances and can begin simply by getting acquainted with those of a different background on one's own campus. Another step, possibly even easier for those of you who are maybe more introverted, involves immersing yourself in literature contributed by researchers or which focuses on populations of participants outside of your country or culture of origin. And doing so may serve as an inspiration for future research endeavors. If you are involved in a teaching, tutoring, or other mentoring capacity, it might also be a good idea to re-examine your required and recommended readings list to make sure that it offers a diversity of perspectives and reflects a diverse group of people. Here is a very brief list of a few journals that I found which specifically focus on cross-cultural research in psychology and related fields. Though in order to sort of immerse yourself in literature that is cross-cultural in nature, obviously you need not draw from these journals only. Participating in international organizations and initiatives can also start by simply attending a conference. The APA provides a list of international psychology conferences. Some of these may be in person or virtual in the coming years, just given the state of the global pandemic. Even more cost-effective options are also available. For one, simply joining the Division 52 listserv is one option, and I'm sure many of you here probably already have. There you can learn about future conferences and events such as this one. Conferences such as the annual Psychology Day at the UN, which has been held online for the past 2 years, is yet another option, and past recordings are also available online. So you don't even have to wait for the next Psychology Day to sort of get immersed in the conversations there. Other forums to participate in include remote and virtual conferences, such as the Society for the Teaching of Psychology's International Twitter Conference. And so last year they set up a handle, these two listed on the slide here, and just by simply tweeting and including that handle with a screenshot of your poster was one way to participate in the conversation around the teaching of psychology and specifically student work within psychology. Another option, albeit one made a bit more complicated by the global pandemic and the difficulties in traveling, is to participate in study abroad programs or to apply for international study scholarships. Many colleges and universities have various study abroad programs and partnerships. Other programs such as the Fulbright and Erasmus fellowships offer funding to both students who are either from or interested in conducting research that is international in nature. However, and understandably, it is obviously becoming more challenging or simply at times impractical to travel in the midst of a global pandemic, one which is as of yet still quite unpredictable. And fortunately, just simply communicating via email is not only free and time effective, but it is also, I think, increasingly viewed as a norm. So if there is a faculty member at a university, that you have been inspired by their work, it's never a bad time to reach out to them and ask them a question about some of their work, or potentially this could lead to a collaboration down the road. And so instead of going abroad, participating in cross-cultural research collaborations such as this by simply reaching out to those whose work you've been inspired by may be one way of sort of contributing to international psychology initiatives. I'll also just mention that cross-cultural research doesn't always need to be theoretically groundbreaking or lead to an immediate sort of revolution within the field for it to be impactful. Things like replication studies or research which focuses on measurement properties, such as studies that involve measurement invariance or differential item functioning, are great ways to conduct cross-cultural research that can really have an impact on how people use tools in order to study different populations and make sure that they are doing it in a rigorous and systematic way. So I'll leave with one final suggestion, and that is to develop your own initiatives where you see a need. For example, the Society for the Teaching of Psychology's International Relations Committee, on which I'm now serving as a member, is currently providing some funding for proposals for projects that aim to do just that. And in particular, this call is seeking proposals from individuals and departments to develop programming opportunities that increase and promote the diversification, internationalization, and decolonization of the discipline of psychology. And more information can be found on this link here. I also have a slide here that has a little bit of information. And here's this flyer you should expect to see circulated probably on the Division 52 listservs and elsewhere in the coming weeks. The deadline is currently listed as November 8th. We're still finalizing some of the details, so there's a chance, likely chance that that will get pushed back. But again, be on the lookout for this in the near future. I just want to end by noting that any student of psychology can become more involved in international psychology organizations and initiatives, and doing so doesn't require a huge time commitment or even a drastic change in research plans. And by taking the steps outlined here, students can contribute to further diversify and advance so that psychology can ultimately become a more global and scientifically rigorous discipline that can have a positive benefit on all of the people that it ultimately studies, and it helps us to understand. So with that, I just want to say thank you for listening. And if you have any questions or just want to connect, you can reach out to me through any of these means listed here. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ober, for that just wonderful wealth of information. At this point, we will be transitioning over, and now we'll hear from Shanae Osborne, who will be speaking about publication opportunities for student work.
Thank you, Daniel. Hello, everyone. I'm just going to wait for Daniel to put my slides up. Okay. Thanks so much, Daniel. It's a pleasure to be here today, and thank you for inviting me to speak today, and everyone at PCUN for creating opportunities for students to learn and grow through opportunities such as today. Today, I'll be speaking on the student publishing and why you should do it and how to get started. Next slide, please. So why publish work? Well, you get the opportunity to learn from experts in the field, fellow students, your surroundings, and even yourself. The amount I have learned has been tremendous and eye-opening. Basically, publishing inspires. Through research and publishing, you are creating a name for yourself and essentially a portfolio of your work, which can be quite useful in the future for attaining higher education or even when just researching for a job. Finally, it's important to realize that professors respect students, their insight and initiative. They want to learn from you as well, and they're interested in what you have to offer. Your insight and your knowledge helps their research grow. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the benefits to publishing aside from getting your name out there. Many students don't realize that publishing can really open doors. And to be honest, I never considered the possibility of research, which actually sounds funny as I say it, because it's through research that we learn more about helping others more effectively and efficiently. If a professor or someone in an organization sees potential in you and offers you an opportunity, I highly recommend switching things around in your schedule to make the opportunity work. It will be a huge benefit. By taking opportunities, I realized that I actually like research. It's where I can grow my ideas and where the big changes happen, the macro changes. Your research and publishing may be exactly what others were searching for. Inevitably, you will learn, you will grow, and you will change, and you'll shine. Next slide, please. Okay, so how to get started. So there's many places that you can get started, but I highly recommend starting with a professor you seem to connect with. Ask if they have anything that you can assist with, or perhaps recommend a professor that's doing research. Often you will get a yes, and too often people feel embarrassed to approach a professor or don't want to, bother them. But remember, professors want to help students, and your help is appreciated. Next slide, please. So the most recognized platform for publishing research work is in journals. Reach out to journals and magazines. There are many that are looking for undergraduate and graduate research papers. Here you'll see a brief list of places that you can publish as an international undergraduate or graduate psychology student. These resources and many more are available on the resource guide that you'll be provided to participants. But remember, you can publish work in many places besides journals and magazines, including NGO committees. You can co-author in books, and there's so many more opportunities. Next slide, please. I also highly recommend that you become involved in organizations where you want to focus your interests. For example, I'm very involved in multiple NGOs and other organizations. International psychology requires you to network and learn from each other. Many organizations like the PCUN and the International Council of Psychologists have opportunities for students to present on the research at conferences. This is a really great way to get noticed internationally, which can lead to many more opportunities. My former professor, Dr. Congress, who is here today with us, encourages her interns to speak at conferences. I took the initiative and ended up winning one of the 3 international student awards from the International Council of Psychologists for my research and presentation. Next slide. So as technology is becoming a main form of communication, connect with people on LinkedIn to learn about publications or writing opportunities. Blog what you're doing, what you're researching, blog about your interests, email people whose research work may intrigue you. Basically just connect, because you never know where it can lead to. So speaking of online sources, next slide, Daniel. Use technology to your advantage and search the web. Many universities, psychological associations, and journal publications have publishing opportunities for which they do a call for papers throughout the year. It's important to keep to the dates and on these opportunities and get on their mailing lists. But it's really important that you make note of their deadline dates so that you get your work in on time. Next slide. And finally, it was mentioned in my introduction, I'm a co-author and a co-editor of the upcoming volume of the Behavioral Science of the Global Arena with Dr. Takushian and Dr. Congress. This opportunity occurred because of the networking, being recommended and taking initiatives. Your efforts and determination will pay off if you show professors your desire to learn and grow. As you can imagine, it's an honor to be part of such a remarkable project, and you can have these opportunities too. I have to say that the best part about this book is the chapters are co-authored by students that are matched up with subject experts in the field. It is yet another opportunity to publish work while learning from people that want to guide you on a journey and they want to see you grow. So I highly recommend seeing what others are writing about and how they are putting their skills to use. So the bottom line is to be creative with determination and don't be afraid to ask people about opportunities. You never know what's out there if you don't ask. Next slide. So the references you see here are only a few of the many that you'll find in the reference guide, which again will be provided to our participants. They are great resources to start and guide your journey in student publishing. I really encourage you just kind of peruse those, get familiar with them, and continue your own research on finding what best fits your life. And last slide, please. So thank you again so much for this opportunity and your time. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me or connect with me on LinkedIn. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Sinead. We really appreciate just, again, the wealth of information that you're sharing with us as well. And at this point, we would like to transition over, and now we'll hear from Dr. Harold Takushian, who will be speaking about student opportunities for involvement within the United Nations. Dr. Takushian, I think you might be muted.
Is it okay, Daniel?
Yes.
Thank you. For my 7 minutes, I want to start by really complimenting the folks in Division 52, Daniel and Luca and Larry. This webinar is what it's all about. Not only the excellence of the panelists, but I see in the audience, we've got over 50 people, including Lena Sebold from Norway, and Vida Hagopian from Russia, and Hirak Katabian from Armenia. This is just great. Thank you so much. For my 7 minutes, let me focus on the question of how can students get involved in the United Nations? There's this 42-story building on 18 acres here in New York City, which is a magnet for professionals and students around the world. And fortunately, you don't have to be a New Yorker to be involved. What are the opportunities? You could, even if you're in another country, you could be involved. And I'll present not one, but 6 ways to do so. The challenge of getting a UN internship is that it's very competitive. Back in 2008, APA published its first brief guide for students to get involved in UN internships. And it said, quite frankly, it's very hard, even for the most talented student. But here we are over a decade later, and I'd like to offer not one, but 6 ways to get involved. 6 suggestions, which I'll cover quite briefly. First of all, the UN does seek people of all ages, but a special priority for people that they call young people under age 32. I don't know how they came up with that demarcation, but people under age 32 have priority in getting badges and assignments. If you look at the UN portal, which is on your link on the screen, which you can receive afterwards, after this message, it does list jobs, including internships. However, the other 5 ways are much easier. The second way is to get involved in many of the non-UN organizations which work with the UN. Model UN is one example, high school students. And then there's Friendship Ambassadors Foundation, where Pat Chiarata does an absolutely great job involving hundreds of young people in UN activities. And the website explains the details. A third way is to get involved as an intern with one of the NGOs at the UN. It was very wise of the UN in 1945 to invite non-governmental organizations in, and currently there are 5,500 of these registered with the UN, 16 of them in psychology. And many of these 16, by the way, are part of PCUN. A student can seek an internship with one of these organizations, and each organization gets up to 6 ground badges so that people could actually enter the UN building if they're in New York City. And this is a sample of what you get if you're an intern. I'm a representative of IMCES in Los Angeles. Tara Pier's organization is very active and it wants to be involved in the UN. So I have a badge, that blue badge in the lower right corner, and that allows me access to the facilities in the UN, most of the 39 floors. A fourth way to get involved in the UN is through its agencies. As you may know, World Health Organization, UNICEF, there are over 15 agencies around the world which are directly connected with the UN, and these agencies have paid staff. This is really, in a way, the easiest way to get involved in the UN is by becoming involved with one of these agencies. And fortunately, there are psychologists involved in all of these agencies who could become mentors if someone finds them in a way to get involved. And I put here the link for UNICEF as an example, the Children's Fund. A fifth way to get involved in the UN, particularly if you're multilingual or at least bilingual, is to go to one of the UN missions. There are over 150 in New York City, but there are also consulates and embassies in DC and other cities. And here you work with the UN indirectly through one of the missions, consulates, or embassies, and it's valuable experience. And finally, the 6th point, there are local resources. For example, many universities are involved with the UN, and don't overlook this. At Fordham University, you see a picture of Kelly Roberts there, who has roughly 50 people each semester involved in UN activities. They may not have badges, but they are involved, they come on the grounds. And there's something called United Nations Association, which also allows students to join, and it's in many different cities. And here too, people can get involved directly. So the bottom line, I would say, is that there are many ways to get involved in the UN, not just official internships with the UN, but these 5 other routes. And is it worth it? I think if you get involved with Ani's group or the other NGOs at the UN, you'll find it really does enrich your life. We hear stories all the time from students about how grateful they were that they made time to get involved internationally. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Takushian, for these great opportunities for students as well. At this point now, we'll hear from Dr. Gabe Twos, who will be speaking about international psychology student resources that are available through the APA's Office of International Affairs.
Thanks, Daniel. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Mhm.
Great. So thank you so much for organizing this wonderful panel and for inviting me to participate. It's wonderful to be here and to see my fellow panelists. It's always a bit strange speaking on a faceless webinar, but I hope to have the opportunity to meet many of you in person in the future. So I must just jump right in because 7 minutes is not much time. I'm going to start by giving just a brief overview of APA. You may know that APA is the largest organization of psychologists in the US. We have about 122,000 members and affiliates. I wish I'd pull up the most recent data, but around about 7,000 of those are outside of the US, all over the world. And we also, APA employs a staff of about 500 people in Washington, DC. The picture here is of our building, but because of COVID, we've all been teleworking for the last, year and a half now. The mission of APA is to promote the advancement, communication, and application of psychological science and knowledge to benefit society and improve lives. And one of APA's operating principles is to embrace a global perspective. The association really does strive to be a global partner and leader in the development of global psychology and the application of psychology to address global challenges. The bit of APA within the central office that attempts to advance this operating principle is the Office of International Affairs. We're quite small. We have 3 full-time staff. It's me, and then Amanda Clinton and Julie Mayhew in the top left here. And then we have 2 other APA employees that we're very grateful to devote part of their time to working with OIA. That's Ellen Garrison and Papa Ando. But the person who I really wanted to highlight on this slide is the top right. That's our wonderful intern, Rosanna Brambilla from Italy. She was supposed to be with us in DC, but for obvious reasons, that hasn't happened. But this was the first student-focused resource I really wanted to highlight, was internships through our office. They do arise periodically. We really do rely on interns to accomplish our work. We've been fortunate to have just tremendous interns over the years. So keep an eye out for those opportunities. If you're not already subscribed to our listserv, that's typically how we advertise. So please reach out to me and I can add you if that would be a useful thing. My email address is on the last slide before I finish. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the Global Psychology Alliance, which it's a group of more than 60 national and international psychology associations from across the world that join together to really elevate psychological science to address global issues. The idea is that if we bring together different experiences, cultures, knowledge, perspectives from every region of the world, we really enhance our collective ability to apply psychology to address societal issues. The group's been in existence for a couple of years now. It comprises high-level leadership, so presidents, CEOs from psychology associations around the world. And I'm talking about this partly because it's just a cool group, and partly because it led to the emergence of the Learning Leadership Institute. And I think Daniel is a member of our initial cohort there, which brings together future leaders from psychology associations across the world. So this is a really cool opportunity for students, particularly those outside of the US, because it's a truly global group. So that's something to keep an eye on for the future. I wanted to talk about our representation at the UN. Many people here have already talked about the UN. APA is one of those NGOs that Harold talked about that holds special consultative status with ECOSOC, and we're also affiliated with the Department of Global Communications. Our representatives provide policymakers and their staff with relevant psychological science. And the other side of that coin, they inform APA members and staff about activities at the UN. Just to give an example of the kind of work that takes place, a recent event on health equity, co-sponsored with IAAP, the International Association of Applied Psychology, was co-sponsored by 15 UN member states: Sierra Leone, Bahrain, Canada, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Georgia, Iceland, Japan, Lebanon, Mali, Mexico, Nepal, Portugal, Qatar, Sierra Leone, and Sweden. This was just a really tremendous coming together of UN ambassadors and psychological scientists, as well as voices from the field, all emphasizing the importance of health equity and how we can come together from our various disciplines and spheres to advance health equity and ensure no one is left behind around the world. We do have an internship program at the UN focused on students. We anticipate that our next cohort of interns will begin next year in 2022. So again, keep an eye out for that opportunity on our list. Webinars, as I think many of us have been adapting to our brave new virtual world, we have spent more time putting together webinars. I want to just highlight one here. Back in April, 3 members of the Global Psych Alliance hosted a webinar on psychology and human rights. These ones were particularly related to discrimination, so kind of a narrow subsection of human rights more broadly. But the Brazilian Society of Psychology talked about racism, Psychology Association of the Philippines presented on sexual and gender minority rights, and APA reviewed socioeconomic inequality. So participants really learned how they can use their expertise, their psychological expertise, to promote human rights and equity in their home countries. I think this is quite a novel application of psychology in many parts of the world. Psychology's social applications are better understood in some countries than they are in others. So this really was a contribution to the nearly 1,000 people who registered to attend. We held it twice, and many of those were students. So there's clearly, I think, an interest among students around the world for these kinds of events, and we do anticipate holding more of them. Fellowships and awards. So the Committee on International Relations in Psychology sponsors an Outstanding Dissertation Award for students who are conducting international research in psychology. So that's something that may well be of interest to students. And I also wanted to mention the Global Mental Health Fellowship, which we co-sponsor with the International Union of Psychological Science. Now, this is for psychologists, for fully fledged psychologists who have completed their doctoral work, but for more advanced students, it may be worth thinking about it if this is something that you would be interested in doing, about how to strengthen your potential application in the years to come. We have had very recently graduated psychologists, so if you are a senior student, this is something you should be thinking about quite soon. It's an opportunity to spend about 1/3 of your time working with the World Health Organization in Geneva. So you retain your position wherever you're placed, but you spend part of your time working with WHO. It's a funded position, so it's a really fantastic opportunity to learn how to apply your skills in psychology to advancing global policy and programs related to global mental health. This is just a list of other international resources. I took just a quick look at our website and pulled out things that I thought might be interesting to students. There's a directory of international psychos organizations. If you're going to be conducting research in Nigeria, maybe it'd be useful to you to know what's the Psych Association in Nigeria. There are resources on internationalizing curricula, on study and work abroad, responding to disasters, international funding, which I think there was a question on that in the chat earlier. Best practices in conducting international research, establishing collaborations, etc. The URL is down on the bottom of the screen there, so I encourage you to check that out and see what might be useful for you. I think I'm running out of time here. Global Insights newsletter. This is a bi-monthly, comes out every couple of months, publication that publishes research by senior scholars and by students, which can include research, it can include programmatic work, it can include personal stories and perspectives from all around the world. It goes out to a pretty wide audience. It's around about 10,000 people, some psychologists, some not. So if you're looking for a way to get the word out about some interesting work you're doing, this might be a non-traditional way for you to do that beyond just publishing in journals. So I would encourage you to consider submitting. Okay, and that's my final slide. I think I'm probably not too far over the 7 minutes. Thank you again, Daniel, for organizing this, and I'm looking forward to the question and answer session.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Toles, for sharing such wonderful resources with us. And last but certainly not least, we will be hearing from Dr. Martha Zlakovic, who will be speaking about funding opportunities for students within the realm of international psychology.
Hello, and thank you everyone for attending, and thank you, Harold and Daniel, for putting this together. Today, I'd like to tell you about PsyChi's international resources for students They are resources that support our mission of recognizing and promoting excellence in the science and application of psychology. If you are a graduate student or faculty member or even an undergraduate who hasn't looked at our website in a long time, I encourage you to take a peek and see the many ways that Psychi has evolved over the years, and in particular, the increasing number of opportunities for international connections. Psychi has a history of international focus, having been established at the 1929 International Congress of Psychology at Yale University. And in 2009, Psychi changed from national to an international organization and now has 35 chapters in 22 countries or territories outside of the US 50 states. Many of our resources are open to the public through our website, while some are for members only. So I want to talk first about the resources open to the public. Many of these include support for international research and teaching, information about psychological concepts, research publication, education and collaboration opportunities, and options for contributing to our various publications. One of our exciting opportunities is with our Network for International Collaborative Exchange, or NICE, our NICE Crowd or Crowdsourced Research Project. It's open to any psychology department, any psychology faculty member or student in the world, and involves everybody contributing to one research project in order to collect data and compare cross-culturally the findings. So the committee selects a study every year for this project, and this year the newly selected project is Social Support and Help Seeking in a Changing World. And you will receive as much help and handholding as you need or want in order to complete your project. That includes everything from providing the protocols, the materials, help using the Open Science Project, because it's all conducted through the Open Science website. You get information and help with applying for IRB application on your campus. And you also have opportunity to connect with the other researchers around the world in conducting this important research project. If you are not familiar with Open Science and using the Open Science web platform, we have introductory videos in both English and Spanish that are open to anyone who can learn if they're interested in learning about open science for NICE or for any other project that they're interested in using that platform as sort of a virtual file cabinet. The other opportunity with the NICE project is that anyone in the world can volunteer to be on the NICE advisory committee and to contribute to what projects the advisory committee is considering and other activities that they might take on during the year. We have a committee we have actually 4 committees, but that are focused on areas that might be of interest, and that most of their materials are open to people across the world. What I'm showing you right now is the area for the Research Advisory Committee, and that's where the NICE Crowd information is housed. But we also have an International Advisory Committee and International Director. So that's where you can find our international information concentrated. There are opportunities there for students to be involved with the program, to be involved with learning about more of Psychi's international resources, and to learn about bringing a chapter to their campus. Other resources that are free and that are open to anyone include learning about the statistical program, for example. There's monthly contests where anyone can participate in the contest that month to learn about using that statistical program. We have resources available that have to do with diversity as well. We have diversity short videos for learning about particular topics on diversity, a diversity toolkit, and content on different particular areas of diversity. And that's available through our Diversity Advisory Committee website. Psychi also produces a lot of publications, and our Publications are open for anyone to read and anyone to use in their classroom if they're learning about a topic or teaching about a topic. The PsyChi Digest is information that you can see recent emails that went out to our members. The emails only go to members, but the recent information is on the website. I would like to point out that anyone can submit for publication to our research journal, our blog, or our Eye on PsyChi magazine that's written in a magazine style rather than a research publication style. If you've been familiar with PsyChi's journal in the past, it did start as an undergraduate PsyChi member only journal, but it has now opened to non-members, to graduate students, and to faculty. In addition, we support open science badges. We have developed our own replication badge, and just recently started allowing authors whose work was selected for publication to choose to include a second abstract in the language of their choice. The first language I expected to be Spanish, but it was Chinese. And so we've had several authors who've chosen to have a second abstract included with their work in a second language. Our blog is a good way for students to get some publication experience in a relatively short requirement. The word count is short, and there is a wide variety of topics that students might wish to contribute to. So in addition to listening to the blog or reading the blog, you can also contribute to the blog if you're interested. Same with the magazine. Anyone can contribute an article to the magazine. You don't have to be a member of PsyChi to contribute to the magazine. You can use articles for your own learning. You can search the articles. So if you wanted to search on something like leadership or social psychology or getting into graduate school, your first job, getting a job with a four-year degree, you can search for that. Same with our journal. You can search in the journal, you can contribute, but those are peer reviewed by faculty and those articles submitted to the journal. And if you are a faculty member, I also encourage you to consider becoming a reviewer for the journal. We also have podcasts. We have the podcasts in 3 series now that are available on the typical podcast platforms. If you're interested in contributing, you can let me know. But there are podcasts that focus on diversity and podcasts that focus on how psychology is used in the workplace and psychology in every aspect of life, how psychological research is used in many different areas. The webinars that we have available are open to anyone right now during the pandemic. So if they're live webinars, anyone in the world is allowed to register and participate in our webinars. And during the pandemic, we're keeping all of those recorded webinars available to non-members as well. At some point, some new webinars may go back to being available for members only. But the ones that we have on open science topics, the ones in English and Spanish I mentioned earlier, will remain available to anyone. Of course, you don't want to make open science not open to everybody. If you are a member of PsyChi or you're trying to consider why your university might apply for a chapter of PsyChi, we make $400,000 per year available to mostly students as awards, grants, and scholarships. They're available to undergraduate students as well as graduate students, and there are some for faculty and faculty advisors as well as chapters. Those grants support research projects as well as travel to conferences to support research findings. So those are things that a lot of students apply for. Although we do have some grants that there are fewer applications. If, for example, we have a social psychology grant that's specifically for undergraduate students, and we have yet to award it. So especially if you're interested in social psychology research and you are an undergraduate or you mentor undergraduates, I encourage you to look at that grant, the Cialdini Undergraduate Research Grant for social psychology field research. We have $3,000 scholarships, and we award 8 to undergraduates per year and 8 to graduate students each year. We also have programming. We have Psychi programming, and just to make clear, if we have Psychi programming at any of our 6 regional conferences, at APA convention or at APS convention, and sometimes at international conventions, you don't have to be a member of Psychi to attend. All of the programming at conferences is open to anyone who would like to attend. And an advantage right now, for example, with APA, our distinguished speaker, June Gruber, talked about women in the workplace, particularly faculty women in psychology departments. And if you attended APA virtually but missed that talk, it is still available online through the APA platform. We also coordinate with APA. For example, we have a junior scientist fellowship that's $1,000 research support grant to a new graduate student in starting the 1st or 2nd year of graduate school, and is also constructed in such a way as to give grad students experience applying for an NSF grant. So I very much encourage you to explore our website to see what's there that is available for anyone who would like to learn about psychology, learn about psychological concepts, or learn about Psychi, and contact me if you are interested in more information about becoming a member or starting a chapter on your campus. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Slakovic, and thank you to all of our wonderful panelists. And I do want to recognize the time that we're at in terms of the panel itself. So we'll just take just a few quick moments to kind of briefly go over just a few of the questions that have come in. And then if anyone has any additional questions, we would just kindly ask that please contact the individual panelists. And also, just so everyone knows, this panel today is recorded, and it is going to be posted on the Division 52 website. We have the link in the chat box, and we'll share that again. And our panelists have graciously submitted resource guides based on the information that they shared today. So we'll be working over the next few days and weeks on putting that all together in a comprehensive resource document that will be shared with all of our attendees as well, and disseminated throughout PCUN and Division 52 as well. Just kind of briefly, and we would just kind of ask kindly for our panelists just to provide kind of brief responses, but one of the questions that had come in, and this might be for Dr. Zlakovic and for Dr. Toulis, but are there scholarships available for international students in the USA?
The scholarships that are available are for anyone who's a member. So it's whether you're studying outside the US or inside the US, you can apply for those scholarships, but you do have to be a member. That's the requirement. And it's not specifically for study abroad, it's for wherever you're studying.
We have a list of funding opportunities on our website. Some of them are through APA and some of them are external, but I would encourage whoever wrote the question to take a look at that and see if any of them seem useful, and feel free to follow up with me with any questions about them.
Thank you both. And just additionally, for Dr. Kalajian, we had 2 questions. One asking if there are current, if you're currently accepting internship applications, and then also if there are opportunities for postdoctorates in clinical psychology.
Thank you so much. That's a great question. We have internship positions available as well as fellowship at the United Nations, but not postdoc clinical psych. That requires a lot of hours. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And one additional question for Dr. Gerstein. There is a Sabrina, a doctoral student in international psychology, mentioned that she's interested in researching statelessness and its impact on children. She's a member of Division 52, but asked if you might also recommend Division 48 as well to network with others who might be interested in that topic.
Yeah, absolutely. appreciate the question. And if folks haven't seen it, Stephanie Beckman, who is a director of the Student and Early Career Membership in Division 48, posted in the chat that she welcomes students to join a committee. And she's provided her email address in the chat. So I encourage, contacting Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gerstein, and thank you, Stephanie, as well. And we would also encourage for those who are reviewing the chat box, there are some great additional opportunities that were offered by fellow attendees. So please do feel free to review that as well. We would also like to point out just kind of briefly that we're grateful for PCUN who has dedicated themselves to kind of working with Division 52 on another upcoming webinar that we'll be organizing for students. And so that will be forthcoming in October, and we'll be sharing more information about that as that becomes available. And we also invite our attendees to an upcoming webinar that Division 52 is hosting in association with the Association for Multicultural Counseling and Development, focused on international experiences, fellowships, and funding, perspectives from Switzerland, Indonesia, Haiti, Rwanda, and Tanzania, which will discuss the Fulbright scholarships, the Bourne fellowships, and a few other fellowship opportunities as well. And so at this point, we would just really like to thank all of our wonderful panelists just for a really comprehensive and wonderful discussion on so many incredible resources and opportunities that exist throughout the profession. That, I mean, just reviewing the chat box, a lot of people are overwhelmed with all their resources. So it's just so great to have you all here sharing your knowledge with us. And of course, a special thank you to Dr. Takushian, who was essential in bringing the panelists together and making this happen. So we're grateful as well. And we would love to hear from those in the audience about this webinar. And so we welcome any feedback about your experience of the content and format of today's discussion, which will help inform future webinars as well. And on behalf of the Division 52 Student Committee and Webinar Committee, and with PCUN as well, we wish everybody all the best in the upcoming day, evening, afternoon, wherever you're located. And again, for access to this webinar recording, this will be posted on the Division 52 website, which we'll share in the chat box as well. And if our panelists might like to share their email addresses one more time in the chat box for attendees, we would greatly appreciate that as well. And thank you all so much.
Thank you, Daniel. You did a great job putting this together. Well done.
Thank you, Daniel. You did an awesome job. Really appreciate it.
Thank you all.